What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Spectre Flow YouTube page. My name is Spectre, and today we're going to be bringing you a video reviewing the Figma number 203 Mikasa Ackerman from Attack on Titan. Now, Attack on Titan seems to be this month's, this is the flavor of the month anime. A lot of people are really into it. Over here in the States, it's fucking crazy. I don't know how it is in Japan or the rest of the world, but everybody and their dog seems to know, or at least, watch Attack on Titan. And for the most part, we're going to hop on that hype train, and we caved in and we bought the Mikasa Ackerman figure from Figma. Before we get any further, quick shoutouts to Ami. They shipped this out pretty quick, and I was actually very satisfied with their service. So if you're into figure collecting, chances are you are. If you're watching this and you don't have an Ami account, be sure to watch them. We're not like fucking endorsed by them or anything, but I'm just like blown away how like quick the service was on there. It was really dope. From about, from the moment it shipped out to, from the moment this figure was released to the moment I got it to my door, probably less than a week, which is pretty crazy considering if you buy shit overseas. I know if you buy shit from China or Japan or, wherever the fuck you buy your shit from, especially if it's, if you're in the States and it's out of country, it has to go through customs and all that shit. Usually, it takes me about 2-3 weeks, and that shit's a pain in the ass. But these guys did it up pretty quick, so kudos to them. I give them thumbs up. Anyways. Onto the figure. The first thing I want to get into in this figure is my dislikes and likes about this figure. We're going to get into the likes first. As with any other Figma figure, I really love how this shit is opposable as fuck. And that's one of the, the strong selling points of Figmas, is that they're really posable. They got a lot of accessories, and they're fun to mess around with for a little bit. You can make them in different poses, you can make them do different stuff. It's not like, standard 1/8 scale figures where they're static. These guys are posable. You can, like, pose them in any different angle you want. So if you're really into the show, you're buying this for a gift or something, you're buying this for yourself, it's cool. Just imagine, like, a G.I. Joe. These are kind of like G.I. Joes, the same kind of opposable kind of thing. Just a little bit better. More expensive, too. And for grown-ups, this is serious business. Alright? I really like how this is very show accurate. Everything about this just screams detail, and I love the amount of time and effort they put into this figure. For the most part, the details on this are show accurate. For example, the 3D maneuver gear looks tight, the swords looks great. Everything down from like the nitty gritty to like the belt design on her legs and whatnot, to her hair and the scarf and the way, the cape is kind of like flowing in the wind. It's dope. I really like it. I really love the detail these guys put into their figures, and it shows. The second thing I want to get into is the amount of parts this figure has. It is ridiculous how many parts you get for the price point. For about $40 worth, you get not only the figure, but you get a shit ton of accessories. You get 6 different hands, 6 different sets of hands to play with. And you get 3 different faces. Unfortunately with this one, you only get 1 set of hair. I couldn't really find a second set, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue. You shouldn't really care about that. You get the little harpoon guns that stick on to the end of the 3D maneuver gear, so in case you don't want her using the swords, you can set the harpoon guns to come out from the side there so you can stick on the Titans and fly around. You get the 3D maneuver gear. The cape is removable, her scarf is removable. Just in case you don't want the scarf, you can actually put on just a regular shirt collar right there. That just affixes to the end of her neck. The head you can remove easily to, put on the accessories and whatnot. The only things that are not removable on this figure are her boots, this kind of like leather canvasy jacket she's got going on, a little skirt thing right there. That's pretty much it. Everything else on this figure is fair game. You can move around, you can do whatever the fuck you want with it. It's cool. Now, the paint job on this figure is pretty cool. I can't really say too much for around $40. It's an alright paint job. I am noticing some rough seams here and there, especially on the leather straps on her legs and whatnot. They could have used a little bit more work, but for 40 bucks on a Figma, it's alright. You get what you pay for, and it's pretty solid. I do like it. Next, we're gonna get into my dislikes. One of my major dislikes about this figure, well, kind of like, maybe it's just me, but I just don't like the sheer amount of parts they put in this figure. Honestly, it's cool that they give us all these parts and whatnot, but at the same time, I kind of feel like I'm never going to use them. Like, honestly, maybe it's just me, but I'd rather they include less parts for a lower price point. I'd rather pay less and get, slightly less parts than a lower price point. Because honestly, maybe, I don't know how it is with you guys or with anybody else that collects figures, but especially with Figmas, I probably maybe around just like play with them for about 10-15 minutes. I get one of the poses I really like. I set it on a bookshelf, and like I don't touch it again. I just leave it on display. And frankly, I know for a fact I'm never fucking gonna use these. I'm never gonna use any of these puff thingamajigs that shoot out of there. I'm never gonna use the hanging system. Apparently, I think you can hang the figure itself off a fucking like wall or something. So you want to hang it in mid-air, you can do that. They give you like hooks and shit, and you can balance it. I know I'm never gonna fucking do that. For one thing, I'm never gonna fucking put figures like that in the air. That's crazy. But maybe it's just me. I'd rather pay a little bit less, get a little bit less figure. But whatever, a couple dollars, no skin off my bones. My last dislike I had about this figure is setting it up. This one's a little bit more complicated than most Figmas, and unfortunately, like every other Figma, the instructions are on a leaf of toilet paper in Japanese, so they're no good to me. It took me about 20 minutes to get this thing set up, and even then, like maybe with every other figure I have, I felt like I was gonna break the goddamn thing in my hand. Maybe it's just my big fat American meaty claws, but shit, this thing, it was frail, it was fragile. And one thing I really did notice that it is worth mentioning is that when I was setting it up, when I'm setting up the 3D maneuver gear, the 3D maneuver gear here is set up on a ball joint, so you can actually rotate it around a little bit. And that's cool and all, but setting it's a very weak, a very flimsy ball joint. You can kind of see the gap between her legs right there. But it's a very weak and flimsy ball joint, and I almost felt like I was going to break it. One thing I don't like though is that they do not include a spare ball joint. The only spare joint they include is one for her wrist. So just in case you fuck up her wrists, there's one included. So if you break anything else on this figure, you're fucked. You break the 3D maneuver gear here, you're fucked. You break the ledges here, you're fucked. You break this wire here, you're fucked. You fucking, I don't know, rip any of this, you're fucked. One thing I did else notice is that, I don't know if it's like, if I can get it to do it on camera, but her left leg kept popping out like, it was ridiculous. It just kept popping out of the socket. I don't know if that's a design, you know, that's designed to do that. I don't know if it's not. But for the most part, I did not like it. This thing literally popped out like 4 or 5 different times. And it really was a pain in the ass to get it back in. Other than that, I think that's the only thing worth mentioning I don't like about this figure is it's really frail, really flimsy. Especially compared to my other Figmas. I have other Figmas too. And I've set them up before, but none of them have been, you know, as nearly as flimsy as this one. I mean, I think this one takes the cake. I had to be really cautious with this. I'm afraid I'm going to break it just holding it in my hands right now. Other than that, I don't have much else to say about this figure. You know, you can take a moment to appreciate how well done these figures are and how crazy Japan is about all these goddamn figures. Like I was saying, the paint job is pretty solid. The only thing that's left to be desired is some of the paint jobs along the bottom here. If you look up real close, you can see some of the smudging along the silver lining of her belts. But for the most part, other than that, it is a solid figure, and I do give it my thumbs up. So for the most part, if you really like this figure, it is worth it. Go spend 40 bucks on it. I don't recommend spending more than 50 though. That's kind of pushing it. I wouldn't spend more than 50, 60 on this because it is a Figma. And if you don't see it now, trust me, it will pop up. It will get re-released. These shits sell like hotcakes. It'd be stupid for them not to do it. For the most part, I can give it my boom, thumbs up recommendation. It is cool, it is fun, and I recommend buying it. So if you're a fan of the show, or you know someone that's a fan of the show, and they really like fucking Mikasa Ackerman, go buy this shit. It's dope, it's fun, it's great, it's awesome. This has been Spectre Flow. My name is Spectre. You know, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos. We got more figures coming up, we got more shenanigans coming up. If you like this, you know, just be sure to get at us. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on Tumblr, do all that fucking bullshit. You know what it is. Stay based, guys. Peace out.